Gospodin Xavier Ros, koji će govoriti o utjecaju arhitekture i trendova na ljude i zajednicu sa fokusom na stambene projekte. Molim vas jedan pljesak. Xavier, welcome to dizajnu.
Hello. Well, thank you for the invitation. I think it's the second time that I'm here in Zagreb giving a lecture. I like the city and I'd like to be here again. I will present through our works, some of them. I will try to explain a bit our approach in everything that interests our way of work. I will start with a more conceptual explanation and later I will move through some projects. So, I think that probably you know Chile sculptors. Chillida was a very great sculptor from Euskadi, from North Spain, that works with very different materials. And being the same architect, depending on the material, each sculptor, I think that takes advantage of the qualities and the potential of this material. We as architects are always dealing with the election of material or kind of structure or whatever, and depending on this election, each project has to move trying to understand the potential, the capacity, the qualities, the limits, so everything around this material. So at a certain moment in the project we decide which materials are we going to use, and after this decision, that sometimes comes very early in the project or sometimes later, everything moves in the direction of using it as a structure, as an element to create specific comfort, as an element to create qualities of the space, etc. And we are not sculptors, we are architects, so what we are usually doing is to put material, put elements, put bricks or stones or whatever in a very specific way, creating, in this case, Underland monastery, creating this column, organizing the material in a very specific way that it's not only a column that supports the structure, which is something that the column is doing, it's also an element that creates a separation or a link between the porch and the corridor inside. It's creating a very characteristic space, so it's playing a role thanks to the qualities or the potentials of this material. You know that in our case we work mainly in our area, in Catalonia, around Barcelona, so we are in Mediterranean climate, and in this area we usually work with these two kinds of spaces that you can understand in this picture. So on the one hand, a very closed space like the rooms in the corners, where just a few gaps to have cross ventilation using the thermal mass of the materials, mainly to protect from summer, but also working to protect temperature in winter. And on the other hand, we have almost the opposite, so the kind of open spaces that are inside and outside, dealing and sharing the outdoor conditions to create a very specific and very special places, like you can see in the middle with this table made on stone, where you can enjoy the outdoor conditions, but in a space in between. So these two kind of spaces are, I think, that very recognizable in all of our works. So this unexpected and an open space and these more closed areas. But we actually love vernacular because we like tradition, but not because it's something from the past that we respect. It's more about collect the knowledge that a lot of centuries has given to us. And after that, we are in the 21st century, so like in this classroom where on summer everything can be open wide and it's a porch, and on winter you can close and it's like a gallery, and the kids are in the center in the class. So this flexibility, this way of changing the conditions of the building, in this case, are thanks to these very big windows that are totally created thanks to the technology. So we love vernacular, but we are always ready to use the technology to improve the building. So this classroom becomes a porch thanks to the technology of these sliding doors. But yeah, of course, if you open the big doors, the air and the draft crosses the class, so it's good in terms of comfort. But it's not only about that, because the classroom is super high, so there are other decisions that are not totally linked with comfort. And in this case, the architect decided to have this extra height for the classroom that probably increase the feeling of being in the middle of the garden, in the middle of the courtyard, sharing the session in the class. So it's not only about comfort, it's about architecture, and sometimes good architecture are creating comfortable areas. And if you look more carefully at the picture, you will realize that the kids are half naked. And of course, we are not expecting everybody naked in our buildings, but the important thing is that the kids are improving the conditions thanks to this attitude. So we, as persons, are an active part to improve the conditions in the building, instead of pushing a button and increasing and changing the temperature using a machine. So we need to make decisions, to open a window, to line a shutter. So we are an active part to create good conditions. And this is a graphic that explains the behavior of one of our buildings, our research center, for 1 year. And looking at the picture, so it's the whole year starting from May and to the next May. The black lines, 2026, are defining the legal temperatures that you need to guarantee if you are doing, I don't know, a library or a lot of parts of the building are or must be in this range of temperature. Then the blue line that are going up and down is the outdoor temperature. There is a red line that is always between the legal range, which is the red one that goes a bit up and down, but always in this range 2026. And the important line is the other, the one that is kind of orange, that is going up and down, not always inside the range, but sometimes inside the range. And this temperature are explaining the temperature in a lot of parts in the building that are not necessary to put in the legal range. And this speculation, trying to understand where we can speculate with this, let's say, not artificial climate, it's a search that we are always trying to understand where we can not jump on the rules, but create good conditions without adding extra climate, artificial climate. So this research of where we can avoid the legal temperature is something that we are trying always to find. And you know that this building, which is a Roman house, Romanian house, it's a tool to collect water. So when it rains, the water goes thanks to the slope of the roof in the middle, and then falls down, and you can collect it in a tank or whatever. But of course, it's more than a tool to collect water, because to collect water, you just need the sloped roof, the gap in the middle, and a tank to put it. But in this picture, you can see a lot of more things. So it is not necessary to have this high column, this extra size of the space. It's not necessary to paint the wall, to have a big door. So it's more than a tool to collect water, because probably it's a way to express the power of the people that live here. So when we are designing a building, we are always trying, why not, to catch water, to catch the sun. so to use, let's say that the natural sources, but it's architecture, it's not only about that. It must be like that, but we need more than this. We are creating a very special effects with light, with different relations with the spaces, etc. And I think that we need to recover a bit the connection with nature as humankind. So after 100 years, more or less, when in the States they started using air conditioning system, and it's spread around the world. So we had a disconnection with the nature, not in I mean, we need to reconnect with nature, but not in a romantic way. So it's not a way to look at the forest or a river or a lake or whatever. It's more to come back again, having the feeling of the seasons, so in our skin, so when it rains, when it's windy. And I think that this amazing house of Alvarado with the foyer in the center, with the fire inside, expresses this condition of a man feeling the weather, enjoying and with the fire in an architectural place, which is this square foyer, etc. We like also, so I think that it is interesting to understand that when you are building a building like this basilica, time plays a very specific role. So in this case, they started, I don't know when, in the 14th century, they started doing the structure with the bricks, and they built the naves, the big one and the other surrounding the main one. And when they roofed the building, probably they started doing the facade, so adding the marble, following the style that was fashion at that time. At certain moment, they stopped this work on the facade, probably for a war or for a crisis or I don't know, the history. And after a lot of years, somebody decided that it was necessary to protect this marble because it has heritage value, and they added this if protecting the marble from the rain. And if you go today to Bologna and you arrive to the square, in just 1 second, you can not understand, but you can feel the history under this building. So you can rationalize and understand what happened there, but it's not necessary. Just a half-second feeling to enjoy or to understand what is happening there. So this idea of creating aesthetics thanks to the process of construction, not for 300 years, in our case it's 1 year, 2, 3 or 4, depending on the size of the building, but we actually love this idea of put the process of construction as a tool to create a very specific language. And it's like, so it's the same that if you go to visit a Basquiat exhibition and you go inside a room and you see this big canvas, you have a 1-second feeling and it's super cool, it's a strong and powerful sensation. And you can get close and start or try to understand the process of this painting, painting in black and blue and scratching and adding white, etc. So you can focus on that and try to understand the process, and it's okay, it's interesting always. And I think it's interesting to understand that we as architects, we are a bit like the hand of Basquiat, deciding the process and the result. So, and we are on site during the construction to change and to improve everything, and we are trying to make decisions to create not only an aesthetic effect, which is more the result of a lot of decisions, but we are trying to redefine and to have a lot of precision, changing and deciding everything during the construction. So, as I said, we have a kind of obsession in creating a very strong and essential relation with people and the outside, like in this window in Naples, facing the sea. And in general, so when we started in more or less in 25 years ago, we started doing small houses, private houses, which is something that we have always on the table, one or two private houses. And at a certain moment, we jumped to bigger projects mainly for social houses. And our challenge in that case was how to keep the values and the qualities of these private commissions, of these private houses, how to keep these values in a bigger scale for a lot of people that can be living there. And finally, so I said several times, and I talk about obsession. So we as architects, we are always working in the present, trying to imagine the future. So we make all the decisions. We try to have a lot of precision defining, in this case, the veranda, how to protect from the sun, the big door connecting the terrace and the main hall of the house, imagining if it's a good place for vegetation, to put the table, to enjoy having a coffee in the afternoon. So we are trying to define everything because we are architects and we are working for the future of the people. And for this house, the young house of Vázquez Moletún in Galicia, in the northeast of Spain, for sure it was the same. So he planned everything. He decided to put the house in this first level with this terrace facing the ria, facing the sea, the rocks, the landscape, imagining, reading in this terrace, sharing time with family, with friends, whatever. So everything planned, and the design just following all the decisions to improve the conditions in this terrace. But at a certain moment, his daughter arrived, and the totally planned terrace become the best trampoline of Galicia. So this, as I said, we have obsession. We are trying to control everything in our buildings, and this is our role. But I think that good architecture, it's always ready to be improved for the owners, for the people that live there. And so I start with our work. I mentioned before the idea of heritage with vernacular and tradition. So we started, as I said, this is not one of our first houses, but it's from 2012. And in this case, we decided, and in several cases we decided to work with brick. Brick is a typical and the traditional material in Catalonia, so it was easy to find good workers, not now, but 50 years ago it was very easy to find good workers to build with brick. So in this case we work with a double layer wall. All the walls are structural walls, and all the spaces are surrounded by structural walls, so we call it structural spaces. And as I said, we try to design everything during the project design, but we are always ready to improve all the decisions. So in this case, the lintels of the windows, that were 1.5 meters, the biggest one. So we changed the detail because the worker proposed to use the same brick, just adding a layer of mortar and just a few bars inside, so steel bars inside. And we did some tests like that, and we decided that it could be good so it was a good option, and we did everything with this detail, so all the houses built with the same brick. So this is a house, it's very basic, so we have 3 closet volumes made on brick and 2 galleries connecting the gardens. In this case, so we had a contradiction with the clients proposed or wanted a house with a very good connection with the garden, but with walls to hang the canvas, because they were art collectors and they wanted walls. So we started dealing with this contradiction, walls and opens to the garden, and this was the solution. So 1 volume for the fathers on the left, the central one is the kitchen for the whole family, and the right box was for the kids. And in the middle, separating and linking all the boxes are the two galleries. One is the living room and the other is the entrance. So this is the house after its completion. So they go there, we planted some leaves to climb. And this is the house, I think that 5 years after the completion. So as I said, we love not only the time of the construction, we love also the passing of time, because in general, we are always expecting that this passing of time improves the building, and vegetation is very clear on that, so it grows and it modifies and it improves and creates this shade. So I think that thanks to this vegetation, the building is better. So this is the main idea. So this gallery is connecting both gardens and linking the spaces, the different spaces of the house. And we decided to continue with the same brick that we are using for the facade inside this gallery, this living room, to increase the experience of being inside but outside. So these are kind of drawings that we did for El Croquis magazine, and we decided, of course, to express the comfort strategy, this cross ventilation, this shade created by the vegetation, how we stop the sun. So very basic in this case, but also expressing everything. So the systems of construction, the people living there. So it's a kind of summary to express everything that that interests us during the design. So these are the closet areas. In this case, the main room of the house, and also the kitchen connected to the studio of the kids through the gallery of the entrance. Another, I think, the concept that affects us a lot is the sustainability, but not, of course, it's interesting sustainability because the planet needs architects looking for sustainable design. Otherwise, we will destroy the planet, as we've been doing for the last years. So we are always trying to control, as a fluid manner, I mean, mainly the air condition, naturally conditioned in the buildings. In this case, so this building, which is a building for classrooms for adults, it's like, well, in fact, it's a tool to renovate the air using the sun. So natural resource and in fact is the enemy on summer, the sun, becomes the main strategy to remove the air 11 times per hour. So it's a building that renovates a lot. And after this strategy, so we started with the facade of a former factory in Barcelona, just a strange triangle plot. We had only the facade, and we had to keep it. We decided to add a kind of greenhouse between the old facade and the new one, and then the classrooms, and then a very thick wall with a lot of pipes connecting each classroom to the chimneys. You will see later, and then the corridor and the smaller parts of the program in the other part till the top, where is the entrance. So each classroom has two kind of gaps. On the left, the windows that are connected with this greenhouse between both facades, new and old. And on the right, there are the doors, and the important ones are the small black caps close to the doors that are connecting each classroom to the chimneys. And then to perform the efficiency of this machine to renovate the air, we used let's say heavy materials with a lot of thermal mass, like brick and concrete ceiling. So this is the strategy. You can see on the right the greenhouse between the two facades. So we took the air from the ground floor, which means that it's fresh air, and it goes up, and then it can cross each classroom, and then, not sure, yeah, it's a very small, but you can see here how each classroom is connected to different chimneys. So you need to know that on top, on the chimneys, we were, so So we had simulations, and the air was 70 and 80 and 90 degrees, so very hot. So this change of temperature and pressure moves the air, so sets the air from bottom to top, and then the air goes outside. So, and the strategy works very well during the day, and the shape of so this kind of pyramids that are supporting each chimney, they are designed to increase or to have the maximum sunrises during the day. So each chimney is a bit different to jump on the different shapes of the other chimneys. So of course it's a very, let's say, in this case I think that it's a very visual design, but it's totally connected to a rational process of performing the shape, etc. And it is important because in Barcelona we can remove the air during the day, but the most important strategy is to remove the air during the night, and we don't have sun during the night. So the difference between day and night is that we have to move the air during the night in the slower way possible, because then the air is touching all the surfaces and it takes out the temperature. So we need a very slow movement of the air, and we use just the hat on top of the chimneys that are using the Venturi effect. So very basic, it's an industrial element, you will see later, that are compressing the air, and it is a way to naturally remove the air, so change the speed of the air and take out the air of the classroom. So as I said, on summer the strategy is like that, so remove the air, and in winter it's just always closed except to renovate the air to have more oxygen inside. So during the process we deal with engineers and architects specialized on these kind of strategies, so creating, thanks to the software, that we don't have these simulations, but we don't put the decisions on their table. So we try to understand this kind of graphics, and we make architectural decisions to improve the building, so it's not a thing apart. So yeah, that's what I explained it. So how the chimneys work. In fact, the air inside the chimney is just moving between the transparent layer and a black layer that is inside, so not in the middle, but in the perimeter, and then it goes up, and that's all. But as I said, this idea of renovate the air thanks to the building, it's not our main purpose. It's just a strategy to improve the conditions for the people. And what we really love is not, yeah, of course, it's interesting to understand and to investigate the system and the shape of the chimneys and blah, blah, but we are always looking for the conditions for the people. So each classroom, the design of each classroom is totally related to this idea of remove the air. And that creates very specific effects for the space and for the people. So this is our purpose. So, and these are chimneys, and you can see this air chamber between the black layer and the transparent one, and the industrial elements on top for the Venturi effect at night. So this is the facade. So it's not a restoration because we just had the facade, but we love to understand the potential of the let's say the persisting material there, this facade of the starting 20th century, and we work with it in the same way than we are working with a new thing. So we put new bricks and old bricks, and that creates a new facade thanks to the historical one. So this is the entrance, and you can see these black dots between the bricks, which are not black, sometimes transparent, because it's just a very few pieces of glass brick, very beautiful one, very expensive one, but with this beautiful effect. So the old factory was a glass factory, the big glass factory from Barcelona. This is the entrance. This is one of the classrooms. You can see that the ceiling has a lot of surface, massive surface to interchange temperature. And then the windows that are facing the the back of the original facade. So this space is not a place to be, it's just a place to move and to remove the air. And these are the chimneys in the city. And so as I said, during our 25 years working as architects, we had a lot of commissions for private houses. And in these commissions, we are always, well, we take advantage of this opportunity of dealing with just one or two people to discuss and to convince and to improve our design. So it's a good, in a way, it's a good laboratory to take risks, controlling of course, but to take risks. So in this case, this is a private house in the north of Catalonia, in a very beautiful area, just close to the Costa Brava, but more inside. So it's a small village, totally protected for heritage, because it's a medieval village. So if you want to build there, you need to follow a lot of strange rules that are trying to create fake old but new buildings. And in our case, so we had a plot with just a wall, stone wall in the perimeter. And the thing is that we had to demolish the wall because they want to enlarge the size of the street, as you can see here. So this is the original wall, and this must be the new wall. So we had a problem because we don't want and we don't know how to rebuild the same wall made of stone. So at a certain moment we demolished the wall and we have a big amount of stones, and we decided to do a new wall using the stones, but let's say in a contemporary technology, in a contemporary way. So we decided to create a concrete wall, putting the stones inside with a very specific rules. And we use sand of the block, we use the typical materials for concrete, except cement. So we use lime concrete, which is, let's say, more natural and less contaminant. And we added also insulation, with glass with air inside, which I think that one of those small pieces that make the concrete more light. And this was the technology, so we demolished the wall. We start building layer by layer, as a process very similar to rammed earth. So layer by layer, we make a layer of concrete, then add stones and up, etc. Putting more stones on the bottom and less stones on the top. So these are the different types of walls that we have in this house. So the one in the middle is for the facade. So we put all the stones touching the street, because after the construction, we hammered the facade to expose the stones, you will see later. Then, if the wall is a facade, but inside the block, separating a room and a porch, we use the more insulated concrete with 0 stones. And this kind of wall full of stones are for the inner walls, separating one room to the other, to reduce the amount of concrete that we need. So following this technology, these are explaining the different layers. There was also, so in the bottom we put 100% of lime, and we start changing to more cement on top, where the roof is connected. So we need a better structural behavior on top. So there is a transition from bottom to top, from 100% lime, 100% cement. And then these are the different walls that we used. And this is the drawing that we used to convince the heritage people. So this is the original wall, and then on the bottom, the house, which is a wall itself, with just a few gaps for the entrance, and then you have a very, very precise connection to the other. And the plan is like that. So it's a wall that is a house. This is a model that we did to convince or to explain the project to the client. And this is how it works, so very basic, to guarantee the natural cross ventilation, to stop the sun rises, because it's a south facade, thanks to this eave on the left. So in winter it goes very deep inside, so we have free climate, and on summer it's just very vertical and the sun never goes inside. So This is a process of construction, a very, very slow process. And this is the way for the workers to put the stones touching the street. And finally, after taking out the framework, we start bash hammering everything to expose the stones. And this is the final facade. It's more natural than it looks like here, but as I said, the process, in this case, of bash hammering the facade is kept thanks to these parts surrounding the window that are without bash hammering process. So it reminds us how it was built in a way. So this is the facade, protecting also the house from the strong wind that happens in this area. And this is the inner facade where everything is open. So, as I said, all the spaces are structural spaces, so all the walls are playing a structural role, and that gives a kind of authenticity or honesty, but it creates for us a more strong link with people and building. This is one of the beds, so it's a radical house, but it works. So, as an evolution of this strategy of reusing stones, this is another house in almost the same area. The different thing here is that we had a pre-existence, so part of an old Mazia, which is the house in the landscape of this area, a country house. And we had to deal with this pre-existence to create a new house. So this is what we had when we visited the site. So just one facade, two facades in fact, and then a lot of amounts of stones from the ribs. So in this case we had two different kind of walls. The original walls, where we added a layer of concrete, and then the new walls, so we have we have rings, amounts of stones, and walls that are still standing. So we create, using the same technology, new walls with stones as a facade, and we reinforce the original ones with a new layer of concrete, adding insulation also. So we have these two types of walls. So this is the house as well, the rings in the beginning on the left, and this is the project after or during the design. I read the new things, but for us it's not very interesting to separate old and new. It's more a way or a kind of rules that are given to us from the persistence. So this is the final house. Everything is a mixture of new and old, but it's a new house. And we just follow the systems and try to take advantage of the persistence to create something totally new, where all walls are surrounded and embodied for the new ones. So we have some mattresses, some parts that are totally old with just new gaps, using again the technology to express this process of design and construction. This is the entrance door. This is inside, so we use this kind of Catalan bolts, but made on concrete. So this is the big kitchen, and this is one of the places inside where new and old are sharing the same space. So, and I think that this one is very special because it's, again, an evolution of this same idea of reuse material to create something new. And this is a social house, a small building, it's just 25 apartments for elder people in Palma de Mallorca, in the island. So it was a competition, a very strange competition, because it was not about proposals, it was about strategy. So we need to write a kind of description, so a text describing what we are proposing to do here. And the thing was that there was a building on site, but it must be demolished, so it was mandatory. And they wanted to create a wooden building. So we decided not to use wood in Mallorca because we need thermal mass. So we jumped on the rules of the competition. So we decided not to work with wood, and we decided to take advantage of this material that we had there. And we write the text and we add this scheme explaining that we will demolish, as it was mandatory, the original building and we will reuse the material to create very big blocks made on concrete, putting the rings and the material inside. So this was the idea, and after that, on the same side, we will create a very special building where, starting from bottom and ending on top, we started with very thick walls, and level after level it goes thinner and thinner, because we have more loads on bottom and less loads on top. And we use the wooden technology, which is very fast, only for the ceilings. So this is the plan, the drawing of the plan, which is totally an expression of this technological idea. These very thick walls using the big new stones made on concrete and materials coming from the side. So the typology is very basic, so just 2 rooms surrounded by these big walls, and then in the middle the wet areas, so the toilet and the kitchen, with another technology, just plasterboard to put all the pipes, all the systems, and then there's a pathwalk to go inside, so these are very basic. But the surprise was that we won the competition, and we discovered that the building was made on marés, which is the sandstone that John used for the private house, the 2 houses that he has in Mallorca. So it's an amazing material, it's a light stone in a way, very easy to cut. So we discovered an opportunity to improve the project thanks to this sandstone. And so we did a project for the demolition, and in this project the construction of the blocks was included, and we did another project for the building. But during the demolition we discovered these stones, and we want to change the system, so we started imagining that each block is built alone, so using a framework like this block on the left. And when we discovered the stone, we decided, why not to cut this block to show the stones? And we spent a lot of tests, almost 1 year, but with a lot of intensity, because it's kind of Mallorca rhythm, so everything goes very slow. So we started to improve, or to find a way to show the stones using concrete and blah blah. So finally this was the process. So we demolished the house, we separed the different kinds of materials. So on one side the stones, and the others concrete, ceramic on the other side. So we create a kind of big pools 4x4 where we pour concrete. Finally, so we started with lime concrete, but for budget issues, we finally did it with cement concrete. So we put 1 layer, and then the stones, and another layer, and then we cut this big block 4x4 in different pieces, like that. So we spent a lot of time trying to find the process, but finally the process was very efficient, and we did it very fast. So you can see the big disc to cut, and on the left, after the cutting, how the stone is showed. So this is a very basic. So they were workers that are only doing demolitions usually. So 0 experience, but it was very easy. And these are the cutting moment, and this is the result. So in this case, we did just some of the blocks with lime concrete. It has a very different color, but the rest are cement concrete. So it's a very special material, and still the signs of the disc are reminding us, or connecting us and the people with not only with the process of construction, but also to the traditional system of using marés in Mallorca, where the signs of the disc are always there. So this is a plan of the different pieces. So it's, well, some of the pieces had a lot of repetitions, so hundreds of them, and some of the others are just 5 or 4. And this is the construction on site. So only 3 workers did all the structure. 1 managing the crane, and 2 of them putting the blocks on site. So it was very basic, very fast. They use the same technology than using this typical marés stone, so it was amazing. So these woods are to improve the level, the horizontality of the blocks, which were kind of not perfect, as you can imagine. And these are the beautiful combination of wood and this concrete stone. It's very special because wood gives a kind of yellow light, very, very soft. In the underground, which is a semi-underground, we started using massive concrete, but in the ground floor we started using the blocks. And you can see here how level after level the thickness of the wall is reduced, and the ones on top are using the lime blocks. And there's the path walk inside facing the garden. And just to finish, this is one of the first projects that we did. We won a competition for the apartments for students in the school where we studied, in Sant Cugat del Vallès, close to Barcelona. It was mandatory to use these concrete shelters precasted in a factory 100 kilometers far away. So usually they use this system to cover it with plaster and I don't know, wood for the pavement. So everything finally it's hidden. But in our case, we decided to use the capacity of the concrete. So we designed 66 modules built in the factory, and in 9 days they put all of them on site. So the strategy is very basic. So we imagine a space, a central garden to share for all the students, for all the community, and then this double layer of boxes, concrete boxes, with these facades that are, you will see later, green facades. So the scheme is very basic, just a row, 2 rows of concrete modules framing this garden. And then again, the natural cross ventilation, how we stop the sun rises thanks to the foliage of the vegetation that are totally green on summer and zero foliage on winter. So this is the inner garden, the community space, after 10 years or something like that. We showed the pipes of the air conditioning and everything inside. This is the module, so it's very basic, so just empty space and toilet with a kitchen on one side, in the path wall side. So this is the, let's say, the starting point. We decided to keep totally the concrete inside to take advantage of the thermal mass that it has, and also because we love the skin, the surface of concrete. And these are the apartments after the students living there. So we really love this. So creating a kind of very basic architecture, the capacity of these spaces to get appropriate for everybody. So we love this situation where a kitchen is like that, then it's like that, and the neighbor and the other. So it's just a frame for people to live in the best way. So you can understand in this picture the quality of the material, which is usually hidden for the factory that builds these shelters of concrete. And this is the foliage. This is after 1 year or something like that, but today it's like that. It's like a jungle. So the building is totally hidden, but it's still beautiful from inside. And just to end, the bigger project that we completed recently, 137 apartments close to the Barcelona airport. So it was an urban planning describing the volume, so there were no discussion about that. We only decide, as I said in the beginning, how can we keep the qualities, let's say, of the private houses into a massive housing building. And we decided to reduce the size of the apartments. You will see later, creating this row of halls surrounding, like a snake, surrounding an inner courtyard. So in this project, all the pieces of all the apartments have this condition. So outside, a balcony, sometimes facing the sea, because it's on the hill, and on the other side, a gallery facing this inner garden. And each room has this double orientation, so it's a super extra quality for social apartments. And we have living rooms, we have kitchens, etc. with this situation. This was a drawing of the competition describing this duality. So each room, in this case, connected each other with the balcony and the gallery on the left, on the right. So it's very basic. It's a kind of row of rooms of the same side, around 320 or 340 or something like that. And the entrance, which is on the right, crosses the gallery and connects to all the pieces of the apartment, and then the balcony facing the landscape. There are some combinations because we have corners and we have smaller or bigger units, but we use always the same system. For each staircase, we have 4 apartments. This is a typical apartment. Of course, the inner corridor it's a tool to remove the air, but also gives light and it gives a special conditions. So, and this is the plan. And you can see here the balconies and the big doors that are connecting each room to the balcony. So we imagined plants climbing thanks to these wooden vertical elements. So these are the entrances, and this is the inner corridor where the galleries are facing each other. And inside, so let's say the level of finishing, the qualities inside are not the ones that we are usually use, but it's not an excuse. It's a way to create houses for everybody, apartments for everybody. You can see here the gallery and the living and the kitchen. The kitchen facing the gallery and the living on the left. And as I said, the views are amazing because it's in the outskirts of a very small city, so it's a very good place. So this is the end, just to express this, how architecture and nature and people that are not here but are living here are connecting, are linking everything to create a comfortable and an architectural good place to live. So that's all. Thank you. I don't know if it is planned to have questions, but I am open to that. I think that if somebody wants to do a question, we have a microphone for this proposal. Otherwise, we can go to visit the fair. No questions? Okay, thank you.